I'm Thomas Page. I'm the Global Head of Hotels and Leisure at international law firm CMS, working primarily in the hotel sector, but also in later living, co-working and other operational real estate sector. For me, operational real estate is real estate that is intrinsically tied to the underlying business that's carried out at that property, where the valuation of the property is fundamentally determined by reference to the income that can be generated from the trading business at that property. The business can't be separated from the property in which it takes place. So our business has specialised in hotels sector for a very long time. We're increasingly seeing that other operational real estate asset classes, which have been slower to mature, are beginning to adopt many of the structures, methodologies and processes that have long been used in the hotels industry, especially by our more sophisticated investor clients. So a lot of the misunderstandings around operational real estate comes from the fact that real estate investors who've traditionally invested in other asset classes such as office, logistics and retail are used to receiving only income from the rent that's paid in relation to the property. When they start to invest in operational real estate and become more exposed to the operational risk that's associated with the property, then they need to learn a whole new lexicon to understand the risks associated with that and understand the differences in the volatility and the rewards that come from investing in those particular asset classes. I don't think the interest in operational real estate is broadly cyclical. I think it has often been only invested in by people who specialise in those operational classes. I think the structural problems around some of the more traditional asset classes, particularly office following COVID and hybrid working, are pushing people to look at alternative asset classes. And that is pushing more capital and more investors into those previously underutilised asset classes. And I think that interest will remain. It won't go away. I think the ever-increasing demands for homes for capital mean that investors are always looking for new areas, and I think as the subsectors of operational real estate become more sophisticated, I think many large real estate investors will become increasingly more comfortable in not only investing in those areas but also remaining in those areas. Landlords in relation to operational real estate are often taking much more exposure risk to the underlying business because of the direct link between the value of the property and the ability of the business to generate income at the property. As a result, the interests of the parties are much more aligned in terms of driving the benefits of the operating business, whereas previously in more conventional real estate asset classes such as office, the landlord was not really interested in the success of the tenant's business beyond its ability to continue paying its rent. So I think that is driving a lot more collaboration between the landlord and tenant in looking at ways of improving the income that can be generated from any particular property. It's also increasing the sophistication of the models that have been used, from more vanilla fixed rent leases to more sophisticated models like variable rents or even management agreements. One of the most interesting panels for me personally was the one on artificial intelligence, because that plays a particular interest of mine. I think it's fascinating to see how quickly these products are developing, and whilst they're still quite immature and not necessarily ready for full business involvement in many businesses, we are every day seeing growth in the way that AI can be used within our businesses and within the products that investors and operators will purchase from suppliers. And every day there are new use cases for how this can be used to drive benefits in our business and drive productivity, which will ultimately improve the returns that come from investing in all asset classes. I think it's great to have an event focused on operational real estate because it allows the more sophisticated asset classes within that category to provide the benefit of their learning over decades to those smaller asset classes who've not been able to do that. I've worked in the hotels industry for 20 years, and we have a very sophisticated investor base, and we have very sophisticated structures and models used to allow people to invest in those operating businesses of hotels. In more novel asset classes such as student accommodation, private rented residential sector, later living, a lot of those classes have been slower to get to the point of sophistication that the hotels industry has been in for many years. And an event like this allows us to share that know-how between subsectors and allow more investors to come in and benefit from those more sophisticated structures and techniques in one subsector and apply them to other subsectors that they're interested in investing in.